did a problem from numbers 1 through 5 already. We did number 1 again. If you have any questions about any others, but just email me. I will try and answer your question when I can get into school and email you back. But numbers 2 through 5, really the process is the same as number 1. 6 and 7, we talked about number 6 a little bit in class. Most of you went through that, so I'm going to do number 7. This will write for me. So number 7 talks about a farmer plants a fence in a rectangular field adjacent to a river. So we have this river. Okay, and then we have a field below it and rectangular field the farmer's trying to fence in. All right, it says the field must contain 150,000 square yards. When we say square yards, we're talking about the area. Yards square. Okay, so that is the picture, and whereas the red is representing the fencing. So it says the field, in order to provide enough grass for his herd of cattle, he needs that amount of yardage. What dimensions would require the least amount of fencing if no fencing is needed along the river? I didn't draw any fencing along the river. There's nothing there. So we're trying to minimize the fencing. And what are we talking about? If I am looking at the fencing, that is talking about the perimeter. I outlined it again because I'm trying to get you to see that if you draw on top of it, you should understand that's my perimeter. And perimeter, we have width, come on, draw, width, and length. Okay, so the perimeter is actually width plus length. It's not 2L times 2L plus 2W like a normal rectangle because we have a three-sided rectangle. If we put that together, it's 2W plus L. If once again you had L in the other spots, 2L plus W. It doesn't matter. It won't matter. It just depends on how you define it. We need another equation though, right? Because we have two variables and we need to get one of those variables out of there. What other information did they give us? They gave us this, which is talk about area, not perimeter. This is area. So that is kind of our restriction. So we have area, which is still length times W, still a rectangle, and the area inside is length times W. And we know the area is 150,000 square yards. We have the same L and the same W. So what do I do from here? I just solve for one of the variables. Which one? Doesn't matter. I'm going to solve for L again. 150,000 divided by W equals L. This is going to go in place of L in my equation over here. All right, so our perimeter equation is now 2W plus 150,000 over W. And the question asks, what dimensions would require the least amount of fencing? He doesn't want to buy a lot of fencing. The least amount you're minimizing. Minimize, take the derivative, and you set it equal to 0. So the derivative of 2W is 2 plus derivative of 150,000 W over W. I'm going to rewrite this as 150,000 W to the negative 1. Why am I doing that? Because then I don't have to worry about the quotient rule. I can just use the power rule, and that is negative, bring the negative 1 to the front, so negative 150,000 W to the negative 2. If I rewrite this, this is really negative 150,000 over W squared. You'll get the same thing if you did do the quotient rule. So that is our derivative. And what do you do with the derivative? You set it equal to 0. So 0 equals this. And we're solving for W, so add 150,000 over W squared equals 2. Multiply by W squared on both sides. And divide by 2, and we get 75 0 equals W squared, and you take the square root of 75,000 equals W. What is that? Square root. Turn this guy back on. Square root of 75, 1, 2, 3. And we get 273.86. So come back here, 273.9 yards equals W. And the question says, what dimensions would require the least amount of fencing? So dimensions are your width and your length. This is the width. So how do we find length? We go back over here, because we have solved for L. We just plug in our W value. 150,000 divided by 273.9. Alright, so I have 273.86. I got the real number up here, and I just go 150.123 divided by my answer, second answer, enter, and you get 547. That is your length. So 547, what was that? 0.7 yards is your length. And you are done.